That was in Penang. All I can remember from there was in the monsoon weather, on the lawn, waiting for Daddy to go by in the car so that the water would splash over us. And one of the servants kicking the football up in the air, and I ran into the house screaming because I never saw where it came down, you see. And I thought it had gone straight up into heaven, and I was terrified. But he was a very repressive man. So I thought then, you know. I used to hate him because of all his sanctimonious, when he used to smack my arse, this is going to hurt you more. You know, every cliche you could imagine he used to come up with. And I expressed a wish to have mustard. You want mustard, boy, you'll have mustard. A little bit of bread piled up with mustard. Yes. You see, you're different because you come from a locality. You've not only got the family, you've got the fucking street. You know, well, look after you when you were brought up. But you see, we don't have any working class things like that. You're on your own. The life you lead is the money your father can earn. The school went in for people who worked abroad, so that Mary Miles and Alan Miles were in exactly the same position. And if Mrs. Miles came back one year when Mum didn't come back, she became mother to me, you know, and used to take me round. And I used to be in love with Mary Miles. Mary Miles, a bloody bitch. We read Black Beauty. And I can remember she used to have a string tied to my thumbs. And she used to ride along behind me with a whip, whipping my bare legs. I was her horse. And I loved it. And, you know, until I ended up in tears on the grass because my fucking little legs was so cut about with her whip, you know. But we did. That was earliest sex, I suppose. Being whipped by Mary Miles. What's under her now? And then I got away from home as soon as I could, just before the war, and I worked for Mass Observation. I told you about that. Tom Harrison's Mass Observation. And of course, in those days, this is 37.
How old were you then?
16, 17. It's his first job in the world, you know. Up to London town, Blackheath, letterbox, come in. Oh, and she says, oh, I thought you were the milkman. And I rang the bell. No answer. So I rang it again. I could hear it. And then the flap of the door, the flap of the letterbox opened, and there were two eyes looking at me. And, what do you want? Who are you? So I said, I'm Peter Chambers. I've come up from Hampshire. I wrote to Tom Harrison about his book. Anybody there? No. Well, come on, come in, quick. And it was Katie Box. She had hairy legs. That suddenly in the flower. Doesn't matter if she had earlier, because I've just remembered it. Isn't it funny, mate? Isn't it funny? What struck me was the fact that every seat in the room, every armchair, was full of books, and we sat on the floor. And she took it perfectly naturally that we'd be sitting on the floor. To me, to sit on the floor to talk to you was just, this was life. You know, this was left wing. You know, Mass Observation in London. In Bolton, the serious work went ahead. The studying of a whole class of people. And we worked for the Jewish Council, who were very alarmed at the fascist movement, Mosley's fascists, and wanted to know how likely was it that the London working class would take to Mosley's theories, and was there a lot for them to be alarmed about? These were the days of the Cable Street fight. What was that? Something corner, Gardner's Corner. Gardner's Corner, taken from Gardner's. The shop was blocked by trams, and there literally was a seething herd to stop them marching through, with the police working hand in glove with Mosley to get them through there. That can't remember where they were going to go, but it was going to be an affront to march through Jewish London these fucking bastards in their black shirts, you know, and every red-blooded male would stand up and stop them. And so I went and worked there, and one of the men there now became a famous writer. He wrote a marvellous mystery book. I can't remember what it was called. He was fucking, this was another thing to me, men boasting about the women they fucked. He was fucking the Dean of St Paul's, and there were times when we were not allowed to come home, say between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, because he would be at it. I mean, the stairway. Mass observation paid the rent for a fucking slum. 2 bedrooms and a kitchen. And, you know, and that was the first time I'd seen a bug. And the fucking walls were moving. It was, just imagine me, middle class, bank manager father, holidays in Switzerland, and here I am with fucking bugs moving around on the floor, and the bloke screwing in the front room, the Dean of St Paul's daughter no less, not the fucking tobacconist girl round the corner, but him and her, square deal for a railway, with a photographer whom I think is still alive, Anthony Wickham, and his mistress Tanya, and they were marvellous to me. And they used to call me the old boy. And I was 16 or 17 when they were 25, 26. They used to call me the old boy. And they bought me a suit. And, he used to go bathing. She used to play with this prick. He used to have a big bandana handkerchief, and that's all he wore. She used to have a hand. I thought it was marvellous. This is life. And then I got called up for the Air Force. I went into the motorboat crew, and to us officers were pigs, a different class of person. I told you about the sandwiches they used to cut for the officers. They used to spit the soup and wipe their pricks on the ham sandwiches, and wafer thin, and give it a good old fry, you know, and feel that that was us hitting back, because they were idiots. I had one officer with me when I was stationed at Dover, you know, with the fucking bombs guns coming over and bombs and all that, and he came along and we had to go by Dungeness, you know, and I said to him, now look, Dungeness ends there, but it slopes and there's fucking shingle this way out to sea, you see, and he said, don't tell me what to do, Corporal, and he went like that straight across the shingle. And of course the boat stopped, and the propeller ground into the shingle and was twisted, and we never saw him again. He was promoted, and our boat had to be put in a sort of vice and yanked straight, you see, because they come out of kilter. We had to be across the channel in 2s, and our boat, my boat and another one, were nearest to the shore, so there were artillery shells landing all round us, and the fucking coxswain. He was a sergeant. I was a first class coxswain, but only a corporal, because they delayed promoting you, because promoting you meant paying you more money, you know, which meant that on your release you got more money. And he was a sergeant, and he left that fucking wheel, got into the bilges. Not a thing was said. Not a thing was said. Thank God. That was civilized. In the First World War.
Did they shut him?
Yes. Court-martial. Desertion of duty. And nobody riled him. And when they started coming over, he set a plane with a glider behind with the troops in. And there was a very low ceiling of cloud. And so they were going very low. And often they had to break the chain and the glider would land in the water. We picked up 75 people that day, and our boat came into Dover Harbour, way down like that, you know, going about 1 knot, you know, because otherwise, you know, fucking hell, didn't we get drunk that night? That's nice, mate. That's nice. That's nice, mate. That's nice.